Empires. They rise from dust, shaped by ambition, faith, and fire. They build cities of stone, monuments of pride, and armies of thunder. And then, like all who reach too high, they fall, leaving behind ruins, legends, and lessons carved into the bones of time. This is the story of humanity's greatest empires, how they rose, ruled, and collapsed, and how their echoes still shape our world today. I, the cradle of power. The Egyptian Empire. In the beginning there was the Nile, a river that flooded and receded with divine rhythm, giving birth to one of humanity's first great civilizations, ancient Egypt. For over 3,000 years, Egypt defied time. Pharaohs ruled as gods on earth, commanding architects to build mountains of stone, pyramids that still pierce the desert sky. From the Great Pyramid of Giza to the temples of Karnak, Egypt's empire wasn't built on conquest, but on order, belief, and the illusion of eternity. But eternity has its price. As kingdoms changed and foreign invaders arrived, Persians, Greeks, Romans, the once immortal empire was absorbed into history. The gods fell silent, and yet their monuments whisper still across the sands of time. 2. The warriors of the East, the Persian Empire. If Egypt was the cradle, Persia was the forge. From the rugged lands of Iran, Cyrus the Great united tribes into a colossal empire, stretching from India to the Mediterranean. The Persians didn't rule with terror, but with tolerance. Cyrus allowed conquered peoples to keep their customs, their gods, their languages. The world's first charter of human rights came not from Greece, but from Persia. Under Darius the Great, roads spanned thousands of miles. Couriers carried messages across the empire faster than any before them. But greatness draws enemies. In the West, a small collection of Greek city-states rose to defy the Persian giant, and from their defiance, a new kind of empire would emerge. Third, the idea that conquered the world, the Greek Empire. It began with Alexander the Great, a young Macedonian king who believed the gods had chosen him to unite the world. He marched east, conquering lands faster than history could record them, from Egypt to India. Wherever Alexander went, he spread ideas, philosophy, art, language, the very concept of Hellenism. Cities named Alexandria appeared across continents, becoming beacons of learning and trade. Yet the empire of ideas died with its founder. At just 32, Alexander fell, and his generals carved his dream into pieces. But the vision, a world connected by thought, not blood, endured. And centuries later, another power would rise to turn that vision into a machine. 4. The machine of civilization. The Roman Empire, Rome. What began as a small republic in the Italian hills became an unstoppable force, an empire of engineers, warriors, and laws. The Romans mastered the art of empire, building roads that spanned 250,000 miles, aqueducts that carried life to cities, and a legal system that still shapes nations today. But beneath the marble and might, Rome was a paradox, a republic built on freedom, powered by slaves, a civilization of gods that crucified its own savior. For centuries, Rome ruled the known world, but decadence, corruption, and endless war eroded its core. When the barbarians crossed the frontiers, Rome didn't fall in a day. It decayed, one betrayal, one famine, one forgotten legion at a time. Yet even in ruin, Rome never truly died. Its language became Europe's roots, its empire, the blueprint for every power that followed. V. The Riders of the Wind, the Mongol Empire. From the icy steppes of Mongolia came a man who would reshape continents, Genghis Khan. He united warring tribes into the largest land empire in human history. The Mongols moved like ghosts, fast, disciplined, relentless. They burned cities that resisted, spared those that surrendered, and created trade routes stretching from China to Europe. Yet behind the fearsome legends was innovation. They pioneered communication networks, religious freedom, and a merit-based system where even a peasant could rise by skill alone. But as the empire expanded, so did its fractures. The descendants of Genghis divided the land into khanates, each more isolated than the last. And like a storm that spent its fury, the Mongols vanished, leaving behind the Silk Road, the ashes of cities, and a new interconnected world. 6. The empire where the sun never set, the British Empire. Centuries later, another empire would rise, not from horsemen, but from ships, the British Empire. Fueled by the age of exploration and the power of the seas, Britain conquered one-fourth of the planet's land and people. From India to Africa, from the Caribbean to Australia, the British flag became a symbol of both progress and pain. The empire brought railways, education, and global trade, but also exploitation, famine, and rebellion. It birthed modern capitalism and industrialization, yet sowed the seeds of resistance that would end it. By the 20th century, after 2 world wars, the empire that once ruled the waves began to fade. Nations demanded freedom, colonies became countries, and the British Empire transformed into a commonwealth of memories, both proud and bitter. 7. The modern titans, the American era. Out of the ashes of the old empires rose a new kind of power, the United States of America, born not from kings but from revolution, founded on ideals of liberty and democracy, and fueled by technology, industry, and war. In less than 2 centuries, America went from colony to superpower. Its influence spread through music, movies, markets, and military might. It became the empire of the modern age, not through conquest of land, but conquest of culture. Yet even the mightiest empires face decline, not always by invasion, but by division. Political polarization, overreach, and disillusionment have shaken the foundations of this modern empire. Will it endure, evolve, or fade as all empires before it? History remains silent, for the story is still being written. 8. The eternal lesson. Empires rise not from destiny, but from human will. They fall not from weakness alone, but from forgetting what made them strong. Each believed it would last forever. Each learned that nothing does. From the Nile to the Thames, from Rome to Washington, the pattern endures. Power expands, pride blinds, collapse follows. Yet from every ruin, something survives. A law, a language, an idea. And that, perhaps, is the true empire of humanity. Because in the end, what we build fades, what we teach endures.